God's holy word. That happened when Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies heard that I had rebuilt the wall, and that there were no bricks left in it, though at the time I had not hung the doors in the gates. That Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, Come, let us meet together among the villages in the plain of Ono. But they thought to do me harm. So I sent messengers to them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and go down to you? But they sent me this message 4 times, and I answered them the same matter. Then Sanballat sent his servant to me as before, the 5th time, with an open ladder in his hand. Jump down to verse 8. Verse 8. Then I sent to him, saying, No such thing as you say are being done, but you invent them in your own mind. For they all were trying to make us afraid, saying their hands will be weakened in the work, and it will not be done. Jump over to verse 12. Verse 12. That I perceived that God had not sent him at all, but that he had pronounced this prophecy against me, because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. For this reason he was hired, that I should be afraid and act that way and sin, so that they might have cause for an evil report, that they might reproach me. So far the text. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for your word. It is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. I pray, God, that you would anoint your servant to take the words off the pages of the Bible and make them come alive for every listener. I thank you right now, God, that you would hide me behind your cross. Take my intellect, my studies, my experiences, my passions, and my struggles. Use them all to communicate your word with clarity, power, and relevance. We give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. You may be seated in the presence of God. We're finishing up our last year. We have a worshiping in the lobby. Let them come in. We're finishing up our series on Work Your Own. Say, work your own.
Work your own.
Oh, it's real weak. Say, work your own.
Work your own.
Based upon my first book, Work Your Room. If you haven't gotten your copy, you owe it to yourself to get it. Our lesson in the end of this series is called How Eagles Handle Chickens. How Eagles Handle Chickens. Are y'all ready? Y'all sure y'all ready? Let's rock and roll. When we talk about working your room, coming into the moment that God has prepared for you, that platform, that moment, that opportunity that you've been believing God for, it is an amazing opportunity where your gifts and your dreams come alive. And they're working in a place where people honor you, they appreciate what you bring, and they support you. When you come into your room, in many ways, you have been elevated. You have been brought to a new level, a new plateau in God. And one of the things I love about being elevated is that it puts you kind of in an eagle-like position. You become an eagle when you move into your room. You become an eagle in the sense that eagles in the natural are very big, powerful birds. They usually fly by themselves. They can fly very high heights. They usually prey on things that kill other things. Don't miss that. And they're able to carry very heavy weight very high. Isn't that many of you all who have come into your moment? You have had to work really hard, a lot of times by yourself, to get to where you are. The things that killed other people didn't kill you as you was coming up. And God has given you the ability to carry a lot of weight. If people really knew all the things you were carrying right now, they would pass out just from listening to your story. But you make it look good. I mean, you got yourself together, but if people can look at you on the inside, some of you all are falling apart. If it wasn't for the grace of God and his purpose on your life, you wouldn't even be able to stand today. You make weight look good because you're an eagle. Tell somebody, I'm an eagle. I'm meant to fly high. I'm meant to carry a lot high. I'm meant to survive the things that kill other people. You are an eagle. Therefore, you have to learn how to carry yourself like an eagle. You have to learn how to act like a great person. And that means sometimes you have to leave the chickens behind. What are the chickens? The chickens are the people who refuse to go any higher. They don't want more. They don't want to be better. They don't want to go nowhere. And what makes it worse is you can be that way if you want to, but don't stop me from going forward. Chickens are the people in their life, they don't want to go forward and they don't want you to go forward. And they would do whatever they can to discourage you, to intimidate you, and in some ways sabotage you from moving on in your purpose. And sometimes we have a tendency, because of our love for people, we try to carry people into places God never intended for us to take them. And some of you all are dragging dead weight into your room, and they're stinking up your room. And now you're about to get put out the room for somebody who don't want better, and they don't want you to have better. I come to tell you, Eagle, you need to let the chickens go back to their roosts. They don't know how to fly high, you do. They don't know how to carry weight, you do. They don't know how to thrive at this altitude, you do. So stop carrying them into places that was never designed for them. You have to learn sometimes to let some people go. And the reality is sometimes the chickens in your life are those closest to you. Those that help you to get to where you are sometimes can't go with you to the next level. And so then you have to learn how to make a purpose decision. Someone say a purpose decision. Not an emotional decision, but a purpose decision. To say, I might love you and I appreciate everything you've done, but baby, you can't come to this room with me. I appreciate everything you did, gave me your last dime, whatever you did. I thank you. But that does not mean that I'm obligated to bring you into a space that you are purposely trying to tear up. Now, some people mess up your opportunity. I feel the Lord stirring real strong. Sometimes people mess up your opportunity not on purpose. They just don't know any better. They don't know any better. You take them out of their element and they don't know how to function. It's like taking a fish out of water. And so when you get into the element, you can survive. You were built for this moment. You were built for this room. You were built to do what you're doing. It doesn't mean that everybody connected to you has been built for the same. And your ability to survive and thrive in your room is really connected to your ability to tell some people, yes, even people you love, you can't come to this room with me.
All right.
And the thing that's really hindering many of you today is you're making emotional decisions and not purpose decisions. God has sent me here today to challenge you to make some purpose decisions because you've been elevated. Tell somebody I've been elevated.
I've been elevated.
Come on, look at them. Tell them I've been elevated. I'm on a completely different level, which requires me to now pay attention to what's on my level. And when you get on a new level, you have to discipline yourself to not get distracted on things, people, and places that's not in the room with you. Distraction will hinder you from working your room.
Amen.
And so you have to discipline yourself not to let people pull on your emotional heartstrings to get you off focus and divert your attention, because time is of the essence.
Yes. And promise
You cannot waste valuable time and energy towards people, places, and things that do not matter in the assignment that God has given you. Because what happens is when you begin to give your attention and your energy towards people, places, and things that's not on your level, it can lure you out of the room. And it can bring you down from the level that God put you on. And the reality is it's easy to maintain on a level than it is to go down and try to work your way back up. And that's the trick. The enemy wants to get you distracted because of people, places, and things, to get you to come out of your moment, to get you to sabotage what God has given you, entertaining chickens. But today, beloved, I want to challenge you. You got to put on blinders. You got to turn your heartstrings off, and you got to work the room that God has put you in.
All right.
Last week, we talked about the fact that favor brings gifts.
Yes.
And one of the gifts that favor brings is elevation. Favor puts you in a place that you've never been before. And one of those things that it does is that it gives you intercessory leverage with one person that's greater than you. When we were talking about Abraham last week, we talked about how after they told him how they were going to bring this child about, they said, should we tell Abraham what we're planning to do? And they begin to reveal their plans to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And in that moment, Abraham begins to intercede, stand in the gap for his nephew Lot, who was living in that place. You remember last week I told you that when God gives you favor, he's not giving you favor just for you.
That's right.
He's giving you favor to help somebody else. But you got to know who you're supposed to help. Just because you can help don't mean you're supposed to help everybody. And some of you all have been helping people who don't even appreciate your help. And God says, enough is enough. Stop helping people who do not value the richness of your assistance. Because isn't it amazing that the people who need you the most are the ones who like to act like they don't need you? And the moment you step back out of their life, here they come crying, hollering, manipulating, making threats to make you give them back what they need. Well, if what I have is so valuable to you that you need to act like it while you got me, because you're going to miss this water when the well runs dry, and there's no guarantee water going to come back up in this well. So just because you can help, just because you have the ear of someone greater, doesn't mean you need to give your assistance. Pastor Billy said something to me very powerful yesterday. He said sometimes people help people that hurt them because they feel the need to give to feel better about themselves. I said that was so powerful, Pastor Billy. Don't get in the trap of giving to people who abuse you and feeling like it's okay because of how you view yourself. You don't deserve any sort of abuse.
That's right.
I don't care what has happened to you. I don't care what people have said to you. You are nobody's doormat.
That's right. Amen.
Oh, come on. Praise God. You're nobody's doormat. And so therefore, you have to help people respect you and treat you a certain way. If you don't value me give you my extra $20 I could have used the $8 and I help you get gas, get to work, and they gonna turn around and cuss me out like you drunk like Cooley Brown.
Come on.
Don't ask me for $20 next week, because I know you're gonna need it.
Exactly.
But some of us, we'll give it to them anyway. Well, I'm supposed to love them. I'm supposed to support them. At what point do you say, my purpose, my destiny, my assignment is more important than squandering it on chickens? We see in our text that Nehemiah is in the room known as the palace. He's serving the king as cupbearer. We have people who were taken as slaves from Jerusalem, and they're now captives in this kingdom. But God takes Nehemiah and strategically places him next to the king. How many of you know that even in a bad situation, God can strategically place you where he wants you to be?
Come on now.
Sometimes God has to use bad situations to get you to a better place. The way he got you there might not have been so nice, but when you get there, it's so lovely. Jesus, when he puts you there, it makes all of the pain you had to go through get there melt away. Because if I hadn't gone through this bad situation, I wouldn't be in this elevated place. Can I tell you today that some of the difficult negative situations you're facing right now is just the vehicle that God is trying to use to put you in an elevated place? Stop and look at your life right now. Some of you all would not be where you are today if you had not been through some ish.
All right.
Oh, y'all don't want to talk to me today. Ah, come on, keep it real up in here. If you ain't been through some stuff, some jacked up, painful, messed up stuff, you would not be where you are right now. And I know it didn't feel good, and I know you still got the scars from it, and I know you still cry about it sometimes, but look where the pain brought you.
Yes.
Look where the rejection placed you. Look where the disappointment builds you. You're better, you're stronger, you're wiser than you've ever been. Sometimes God has to use the messed up things. Flowers cannot grow till you put it in some, no, not no water, baby. You gotta put some ish with that water. Flowers ain't gonna grow with just water. You gotta put some manure, some mess around that to make it grow. God said, I had to put some mess around you to make you grow up to where you are right now. So Nehemiah was in a mess. People taken captive, destroyed Jerusalem, destroyed everything, the temple of God, and people killed and things that's torn down. But in the midst of all of that, God strategically places him next to the king. And some of his relatives came. He says, how are things back in the homeland? What's going on in Jerusalem? He says, brother, it's bad. The wall is torn down. The temple has been destroyed. The people are living terribly. And Nehemiah, even though he's in a good place, his heart began to hurt for his people. Never forget your people when God raised you up. How many people God raised them up and they forget about where they come from? You might not can help everybody, but do something to help those that came behind you. Nehemiah didn't say, well, that's not my problem. I'm living good. His heart was grieved. And he says, God, what can I do? And the next day he goes into the king and he's serving the king. And the king looks in his face and says, something wrong with you. I know you're not sick, but your heart is broken. And he says, if I have now found favor in your sight. There go that favor in your sight again. If I have now found favor in your sight, I pray that you give ear unto my requests. He begins to intercede for his people. This is a beautiful illustration of intercession. To intercede means to literally crouch down and to stand in the gap between the person who has the solution and the person who has the problem. The person with the problem can't touch the person with the solution. You are in the middle. You can touch the person with the problem and you can touch the person with the problem, the solution and the problem. And you stand in the gap until the one with the solution releases the answer to the one with the problem. And God saying, I'm trying to raise some of you up to be intercessors. You're going to stand in the gap for people who can't speak for themselves, can't fight for themselves, don't even know what to do for themselves. But God has strategically placed you in the ear of people who have influence, who have resources, who have ability to change the lives of those who can't help themselves. And the question is, are you going to sit up there and say, I'm good? Or are you going to say, God, I'll stand in the gap? I'm not going to just be here for myself, but I will put myself at risk to intercede on the behalf of those who can't help themselves. He got in the gap for his people. And he began to say, sir, I need to go home and rebuild these walls. He didn't just say, I'm going to send someone to go. He says, I need to go myself. I need to go and rebuild these walls. In Nehemiah 2:6, the king asks a great question. He says, how long you need to be gone for? The scripture doesn't tell us how long they said, but however long it was agreed upon. I want you to know something, that your assignment in your room is a timed assignment. What do I mean by that? You have a certain amount of time to work this room. And because you have a certain amount of time to work the room, you don't have time to be wasting it on people, places, and things that's not connected to working the room. Because when the time is up if you got the assignment done or not. But how many of you know God is not putting you in no place for you to leave it incomplete? Well, when God puts you in that space, he's putting you there to get it done completely and to do it with excellence. But if you're over here running around to this person and over here and this thing and doing stuff that has nothing to do with the assignment, you're going to look up and your work going to be undone. Your assignment is timed. Say that. My assignment
My assignment
is timed. You need to write that down and remember. So the next time JoJo call you on the phone and you know he ain't talking about nothing, you need to send him the voicemail. Next time Lisa come around your cubicle talking foolishness, spreading gossip, you need to tell her, keep on walking. I ain't talking to you, baby, because I ain't got time to get caught up in your office gossip. Because whatever I say, you going to take it and tell Thomas what I said, and it ain't going to even be what I said. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting up in the manager's office over some foolishness I ain't had nothing to do with. Keep on moving, baby. I don't got time to talk to you. I'm busy working my room so I can get to my next room that God got for me. So the king gets some permission. He leaves, and when Nehemiah comes into Jerusalem, he's devastated by what he sees.
Yes.
Everything just torn up. Can you imagine going back to your hometown and everything's destroyed? Just like what's happening in Louisiana. That's right, Elder Bailey. House is gone. Church is gone. Can you imagine going to your home church and it's gone? The church that, can you imagine, God forbid, you being taken away and you come back here and Mount Sinai is completely destroyed?
Devastating.
You gave decades of your blood, sweat, and tears to build this church, and now it's gone.
Yes.
Relatives, you can't even find them. You don't even know what, like slavery. Don't even know where they are. That's what Nehemiah came home to.
Have mercy, Lord.
But even in all of that, he says, God sent me here for a purpose. You got to learn how to manage your emotions if you want to be great. I feel, but I don't let it overtake me to the place where I am crippled and work in the room. He comes, and when he gets there, there's some chickens in eagles disguise. Now, there's a difference between chickens and eagles disguise. See, chickens, you know they're not going nowhere. They don't want to go nowhere. They're going to always be where they are. Fine. Do you, boo. I don't care. Just don't hinder me. What those sages say, if you don't go, don't hinder me. But then you have some chickens in eagles disguise. They have made some progress. And they look like eagles. But the reality is that they are on these levels to destroy people who really have been sent there to do something.
Wow.
They are assassins on the levels that God has sent you to. You know, when you started on your new job, that one person, as soon as you walked in, they looked at you like they hate you. Like, I don't even know that chick. I don't even know that dude. And they just instantly let you know, I hate you. And I don't like you. And I don't want you. They ain't never opened their mouth. They just looked at you. Some of you all in your building, in your apartment where you live, you ain't did nothing to those people. They just don't like you. And then they make it their business to try to get you out.
Oh, yeah.
Those are chickens and eagles disguised, which means they have the influence and the ability to move you out if you let them. They have the ear of certain people. They have certain resources. They've gained some things. But their goal is not to move forward themselves. Their goal is to dominate where they are so that those that come in where they are have to submit to them.